I mean, that kick drum is just so good. I love that. 4 mics on drums, plus maybe, let's do a couple more. I thought it might just be fun to experiment and see what we come up with. So I'm part of a little production collective with Anthony Anderson, who plays guitar and has been my production partner for a long time, and Chin and Jetty, who is really well known, and it's called Break the Beat. And the other day Chin said, why don't we go into the studio and kind of like make our own loop library. Welcome to Hipposonic Studios. So what we're going to do today is set up just a really simple drum kit. I had this idea to do retro drums and make retro drum loops, but with close mics added, and see if we can do like a retro meets modern kind of thing. I've never tried this before, so we're going to do a traditional setup with some close stuff. We're going to see what happens. So here's everybody. There's Rob. Rob, say hi.
Hi, welcome.
Chin. Liam. At this point, let me just give a quick shout out to Rob Darch. We did this at Hipposonic in Vancouver. Rob Darch has created, I think, just one of the greatest creative spaces ever. And shout out to Liam for recording this. So, of course, I was there, but, Liam was really driving that ship, and hats off, he did a great job. Okay, let's take a look at the setup. We've got 2 U67s set up in a Glyn Johns fashion, one right over the snare, one off to the side, over where the floor tom would be. We're just doing kick, snare, hat today. On the kick, we've got a FET 47, and we've also got a ribbon mic up top, famous RCA 77, and inside the kit we've got an Audio-Technica mic, I can't remember which one, and on the snare we're trying an SM7B. Oh yeah, and up there is a C24 for room mics, and I forgot, I think we've got a 414 under the snare drum. I'm a better audio guy than a video guy, clearly. Let's go talk to Liam, who just bonked his head while he was out in the room setting up microphones, and yeah, his head's hurting. But let's go talk to him, and he's engineering the session. Poor Liam.
Yeah. So, strip some stuff away here.
I think it's a great start.
Glyn Johns right there.
Yeah. That's
just
really
that.
Great. So tell us what you're doing. You've got 2 U67s.
So we got the 2 U67s. I have those going through a pair of 1064s, vintage 1064s.
Cool.
Not using any of the EQ on it currently. And then I have as well just a little bit of compression from the SSL G384, just to bring those snares down a little bit so they're not as popping. And then it's not like a hard left-right pan necessarily. I've kind of got it 40-70 kind of panning, just so that kick's not like way over there, and the snare's way over there. And I'm doing that up with the pan to the buses, so it's committed like that to tape.
Sweet.
We also have...
We love committing.
I love committing. I don't like making decisions later. We also have the RCA 77 up top there. That's
so good on the kick.
Yeah, it's got like a cool like low mid punch to it.
That's gonna flip through.
Yeah, and that's really cool. Like, I mean, you could mix that a little bit of the close kick and close snare, just to beef it up a little bit more.
Yeah.
And then we also got, so here's a blend of everything so far. Close mics, kind of just sound like close mics. Not doing much on those yet. That's the FET 47. That's the ATM 25 on the inside. So pretty ticky,
that classic, lumpy 70s kind of vibe.
Yeah, and then so we got the C24 up in a set of rooms, just to get a little bit of that space in there if you want it.
That's the biggest right there. I love that.
Yeah, it's where you can start hearing the size of the room a bit more.
It's beautiful.
Cool.
And then as a fun option, we also are reamping. Right now it's the snare top going to it through a Fender Deluxe reverb. Fully pinned on the reverb, just as a...
Beautiful.
That's good fun.
A little distorted. You know, fun little thing. You could always key it with a gate just so it opens up just on snares.
Cool, Ian.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course.
Okay, now we laid down a bunch of grooves, and I don't want to go through piles of them, but here's one with the guys in the control room playing along. I'm playing drums out in the main room. Okay, here's the setup. Here's me playing in the room. All right, so back to my project studio. Let's listen to these sounds and see what we got. So this is just the 4 mics, the two 67s, the FET 47, and the SM7 on the snare. So it's this kind of vibe. So I'm starting to process them a little bit, just this. Just a touch. Let's listen to what these sounds like. Or let's listen to what these sound like. This is our FET 47, really classic sound. It kind of feels like it's blowing up. Don't you love that? I love that. All right. Snare top. This is the SM7. Oh, I have added some reverb. Let's take the reverb off for now. So the upside is it's kind of crunchy and cool. The downside is it's got lots of hi-hat in it, but that's kind of the nature of this kind of sound. The two 67s, I put them in separate tracks so that I can balance them. One was a bit hotter than the other, and that happens in these kind of setups sometimes. Anyway, it sounds like this. Let me switch screens here for you. So we play them all together, and we're going to get this. So these are our 4 mics together. This is sort of the Glyn Johns thing. I mean, that kick drum is just so good. I love that. And just to be clear, I'm not pretending that I'm breaking any new ground here. I just want to take a retro method and see if I can bend it by using some close mics and just see where it goes, because I don't normally do that, and I just want to see what happens and take you along for the ride. There are a couple of really good videos. There's one of Glyn Johns actually setting up his technique in a studio. I'll link to that. Spectre Sound has one with some good details of how to set this up, and theirs is more of like a rock context. That's probably worth looking at too if you want some perspectives on the origination of this miking method. Okay, let's start listening to other sounds and see if they add something when we add them in. So this is our mono overhead. Let's add it in, see if we like it. This is the amp thing. Distorted, kind of cool in the track. It's creative, it's really cool. I don't know if we use it for an entire song, but it's one of those things where in the right song, that's pretty cool. The room mics. This is them. This is the room mics. Blend them in for a sense of space. Okay, so I did some processing on them. Let's turn all these plugins on and let's see. I'm just trying to figure out like what to do with them. There's no context yet exactly, so we have a bass going. So there's a bit of context. I'm pretty happy with that vibe. That's pretty cool. Let's see what this guitar sounds like in it. So one other thing we did, which you wouldn't normally do in a retro thing, but I thought, like I said, I wanted to be able to modernize these a little bit and to have more punch and more control than if we used like a loop off of whatever your favorite service is. So yeah, it's kind of gnarly, but you know what? That splatty thing in the bottom end, you might think you wouldn't want that, but in the mix, without it, let's put it in. This is the one thing I didn't feel like we needed. This is the inside kick. It doesn't feel like it does a lot useful to me, but I like having it there because it's really got a solid attack on it. And if I want to trigger a sample, which, like, depending on the context, we may want to do, it's got really tight. I gated it, you know, I used this. And just useful in that context. Take it out. So if you think this method might work for you, just hit me with a comment, old school drums. You could do something like this without renting the world's most expensive studio. We were lucky to be able to go in and use a bunch of really awesome sounding vintage gear. Let me just say that you come up with cool signature stuff when you just try something on your own and don't try and do what everybody else is doing. So let me leave you with that. If you thought this was kind of cool and you feel like you got some value out of it, give me a thumbs up and a subscribe. I'm gonna groove.